Good morning. Welcome back to Financial Issues. I'm Dan Celia, American Family Radio Network. Lots of other networks joining us. Of course, NRB Television joining us here as well. And I apologize for the picture. If you're watching us on NRB, we are on location this morning. Of course, we have a town hall meeting here in Mobile, Alabama tonight. And that's where we are coming to you from. So you're looking at a Skype picture, and I apologize. But, hey, it's just we can't avoid it. That's what happens when we are on the road. But I know you won't have an issue with that and are fine with it. And sure look forward to getting your phone calls here as we proceed on with getting some calls. I just wanted to recap a little bit. Not a lot of economic news coming out this week, as I talked about it earlier in the first hour. Very little. I guess the big number is going to be PPI, Producer Price Index, coming out on Friday, along with the first look at consumer sentiment, Michigan consumer sentiment number. That is going to be the first look at April's consumer sentiment. Not to mention that we're getting closer to April 15th. That's big news. I spent the entire day Saturday doing my taxes. And I did what I always do. I tell my wife, I'm never doing my taxes again. But I'm sure next year I'll probably do them again. So anyway, I'm too cheap, I guess, to hire somebody. I don't know. It's cheaper to buy the software. But anyway, we're all going through that. You know, it's the big thing. We're waiting to do our taxes. I didn't see a whole lot of differences this year over last year for me, other than the questions in and around, do you have health insurance, and was your whole family covered by health insurance question. That was on there. Of course, that's the first time that we've seen that question. But not a lot of economic news coming out. Yesterday, on Friday, we saw the markets down dramatically. The Dow was down 160 or 170. NASDAQ was down over 2%. All the indices, again, picking up on that today. Everything's in negative territory. The Dow's down about 60 right now. Gold is down as well. All the commodity futures continue to be down, along with all the market indices. Also, today at 3 o'clock will come out consumer credit numbers. That's not a number that is going to shake or move the markets one way or another. I guess it could if it went up dramatically, if there was a lot more consumer credit taken, but that's not likely to happen. So I'm going to assume that that's not going to be a market mover today, but it's an interesting one for me, and it's one I look at very closely. So I'll talk about that later in the week. But consumer credit numbers come out, and then of course Thursday, just our normal first-time unemployment claims that we will watch. The markets are off their original lows, but nevertheless still very much in negative territory. So we are seeing some not such a good start here to the first quarter. Is this going to be the quarter we're going to see this correction that myself and others have been talking about? I've been talking about it for a long time. Listen, it's going to happen. There's an inevitability in and around the idea that we're going to see a dramatic correction, but we'll have to wait and see. There's an IFM report out this morning. The International Monetary Fund says that bond purchases should be used only in difficult times. That's the IMF's way of saying, listen, if you're not in the stock market, you need to be in the stock market. Everybody wants you in the stock market. All the governments and international agencies, they all want to maintain this perception that things are good. And they know that you and I and other traders are looking at the markets, not me, I shouldn't include myself in that, are looking at the markets to see the indicator of the economy. If it is an indicator, it's a lousy one. It used to be a good one. It is not any longer. And I think the big news this coming month, by the end of this month, is earnings season. And everybody's going to look at earnings. But I am hoping that people will start to look at sales reports and not earnings. I don't care how much money the companies are making. Can we look at how they're making the money? Because I think that if we go back and look at how they're making the money, you hear me say this every earnings season, the end of every quarter, I say the same thing, and I have been for years. Will we look at the sales numbers this quarter? If we did look at the sales numbers, not we as in you and I, but the traders looked at the sales numbers, they wouldn't be so enthusiastic. and their irrational enthusiasm would dwindle dramatically. So anyway, interesting stuff. I had a caller last hour, Adam from Texas, and he was talking about, where do you invest? He's got his retirement pretty much taken care of, has some qualified plans, and I felt like I cut him off there, so I need to just elaborate a little bit. I hope, Adam, hope you're still listening. But look, it's important that you start an investment account. I don't think, you may have some that will say be in an IRA, be in a commercial annuity. Not a good idea. There may be a day that you shift some of the money from this investment account to a charitable gift annuity to shore up your income. But right now, I would have an investment account with an IRA, with a brokerage account, an E-Trade, a TD Ameritrade, one of those online brokers where you can be self-directed. I would suggest to you, I don't often do this. I don't think I've done it in the last 6 months because I'm a horrible marketer for my own website. But I would use my website to guide you and look at staying biblically responsible in all that you're doing. And we are beginning to see a greater and greater push to this biblically responsible. We have Christian organizations, Christ-centered commercial organizations, for-profit companies, Christ-centered, that are starting to think about, since the news has come out about, the idea that Hobby Lobby has been supporting abortion, pornography, and other things in their 401k. Well, you've heard me talk about that for years. It's nothing new to you as you hear those things. But what you don't know is how hard I've worked over the years to change that mindset in corporate America. And I have opportunities to talk to Christ-centered corporations, or at least CEOs or founders of corporations, invite me to their board members. Maybe not all their board members are as Christ-centered as the founder, but I have an opportunity to talk about these things and warn them that we need to put our money where our morals are. And we're seeing the credibility of Hobby Lobby and their complaint being put on the line. After all, how could you be sold out for this and fighting Obamacare when you're doing this with your money and putting it into the very things that you object to? I don't think they were doing it intentionally. I don't think they even do it knowingly. But they know now, so we'll have to wait and see how they change. Hopefully they'll change. And they'll think about Timothy Plan in particular. There's one other Eventide, one other mutual fund company that is somewhat biblically responsible. Timothy obviously being the one that I know intricately. But anyway, I think we'll start to see the tide change there, and hopefully it will. 866-300-9298 if you want to join in the program. Again, we are live on location. We're down in Mobile, Alabama, so I apologize if you hear some audio difficulties, and certainly if you're watching on NRB TV or others. And I just want to thank all of the viewers, too, on NRB TV. I've had a great response, an enormous response from our NRB listeners. And I've got to be honest with you, because it is what it is. I'm absolutely blown away at the response that I've had from NRB Network. I'm only on 1 day a week there. Two. I'm on Friday. There's a replay on Friday of my Friday program, Friday late afternoon. But I thank you for your emails and your responses. I have nothing to do with, or little to do with, me being on any radio or TV network on a regular basis, on a daily basis. That's the network. And if that's something that you want to see, or something that you would like to see, or wondering why it isn't, you need to email the networks, either the radio network, the TV network that you're watching this, and talk to them about it. And, but it's difficult for them, and I'm not, in defense of them. They have slots that they would have to clear, and it's just not practical sometimes. But, as spots open up, hopefully they'll add, but they can't just clear a spot. So it's difficult for them. And I'm in a very difficult time slot. I'm in a somewhat of a prime time slot in the morning. So it makes it even more difficult. So in defense of them, give them a break. But of course, write them and let them know your desires. That's always a good thing. 866-300-9298. I want to get back to the phones. Let me go to, I don't know, who's on deck, Devin? Margaret, that's what I thought. Margaret from Michigan. Hey, Margaret.
Hey, Dan. Thanks for taking my call.
Sure thing.
My son recently won $50,000 in a sweepstakes. He's not employed right now. He's waiting to become a merchant marine, and he has the credentials, but he hasn't gotten called, and he doesn't have a car. But what do you suggest he do with his money?
Well, I think that the nice thing about the money, it's going to help maybe get a car, not a new car, I hope, but a car that he can pay cash for with a portion of that money. The rest of it, I would suggest that he think about a couple of things. One would be opening a Roth IRA account for his retirement with maybe a small portion of it, $1,000, a couple $1,000. I think that would be great to open that Roth IRA account. And the rest of it, I would put into savings until he gets called up, until he starts working and begins some seniority and begins to, stay employed. Then at that point, when he feels real good about that, I would start shifting that cash, some of that cash, over into an investment account where he can do some investing, or put more of it in his Roth IRA account that he's already started and do some investing through that account. But certainly I wouldn't have a problem with, I would rather see him spend some money on a good used car and not getting any debt to do it. He's going to be, he's not going to be home a lot in his work. So, have a car that is there and available for him when he is home. But that's what I'm thinking would be a good plan.
He does have a small Edward Jones account that I opened when he was really young, but maybe $300 in there.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't seem to do much.
Well, I think that that he certainly would have the ability and the opening there to open a Roth IRA account through them if that's what he wanted to do. I'd like to see him be a little bit more self-directed and do it himself and open an account and try to stay on track of it. Long as he's willing to use something like my website or someone else's to kind of learn and to really focus on staying biblically responsible and not trying to get rich quick. The Bible tells us little by little wealth grows. And, we have to have that mindset when we're doing investment and be perfectly satisfied in understanding that it's little by little. And I'm just going to do good, strong, prudent things by having great companies, great stocks, and invest gradually and little by little in those companies. And I think he'll do really well being a young man if he were to do that. Okay? Thank you, Margaret. Boy, that's a blessing. I wish him all the best. Thank you. 866-300-9298 if you want to weigh in. 866-300-9298. We're going to get right back to the phones. Well, look, the NASDAQ went positive. It's way, way off its lows. It's up. It's down only 5 right now. Dow's still down 47. Financial Issues. I'm Dan Celia. We'll be back right after this.